Hello to you all. Welcome back to Conversations with Zalia. I'm your host, Zalia Lorraine. And today will be the first of many weekly recaps of the novella Três Graças. As you all know, I have done a video on Três Graças and my thoughts on the novella. And now that the first week of the novella is over, I'm going to give you a recap of what I watched and my current thoughts on the novella. And consider the fact there will be spoilers, very important plot points and plot devices and important things that apply. There will be spoilers, so beware. Três Graças, for those wondering, is a novella created by Agonaldo Silva about three women who connected by a generational curse and that they fell pregnant at the age of 15. Ligia fell pregnant and raised their babies alone. Ligia fell pregnant at the age of 15 with a man named Joaquim who didn't want to accept responsibility and raise Lucy alone. Then Lucy had Joelle at 15, repeating the cycle, and the cycle repeats when Joelle gets pregnant by Raul, a young man who also happens to be the son of her mom and grandmother's employers. And Raul doesn't want to accept responsibility. So she decides to pretty much have the baby by herself with the help of her mother and grandmother. Then with Jerlucy takes over her mom's position as the caregiver of Josefa since her mom is too sick to work. If I was asking about Ligia's condition, Ligia, she has a lung problem, which I'm not sure if they specify it. And she takes medicines that are donated by the Ferretti Foundation, led by a man named Santiago Ferretti. Then, but let's get into now that I told you everything, now let's get into the first episode. Now, the first episode starts with a pan shot of the Chacarena favela where the three Grassas live at. And we're introduced to our character Jalusi, who wakes up and chats with her mom, Ligia, about taking her daughter Joelle to the hospital since she suspects she may be pregnant. Then they welcome Kellen, who's the daughter of the local pastor, into their home, and Kellen and Ligia have a chat. And during the chat, it's visible that Ligia is very sickly. And after giving Joelle some food to eat, they can pretty much take a few buses to the hospital where she gets introduced to this bus driver dude who gives him his number. And they wind up arriving at the hospital where they see a bunch of pregnant women without their baby's fathers, which is subtle commentary right there. But Joelle winds up undergoing the test, and she pretty much is confirmed pregnant and contacts the baby's father, Raul, who's not only a whisper drug addict, but he's also the son of Doña Armenda, or Doña Cobra, who a mean, rude, cruel, angry, nasty person who treats everyone around her, including her family, like crap. And Jerlisi pretty much meets her designated love interest, Paulino, when Joelle throws up on the police car after finding out that she's pregnant. And all of this is making her late for work, caretaking job, where she pretty much works as a caretaker for of a woman named Josefa, Doña Arminda's mother. And Josefa, she has memory problems where she has a tendency to blurt out things only to pretty much don't remember happening, which is lampshaded by Lesia, who states later on in the second episode that you can't trust anything Josefa says. Though I have a prediction that she may not have those problems, which I'll discuss in my final thoughts. While trying to find Junior Josepha, who ran off thanks to Lucy being late for work, she winds up walking into the room where the Três Graças statue is at, which alerts, she gets called by Arminda, and that's where the first episode ends. Now, the second episode, Arminda catches Lucy pretty much looking at a statue, chastises her for it, for pretty much causing the chaos, pretty much indirectly causing Josepha going missing. And she pretty much gets on with her work shift. Then we're introduced to a new character, the character played by Bella, which is Bisal. While Vivian is treating a patient at her job and unprofessionally calling Lucy, Michelle pops up at the clinic to inform Vivian that his wife Isara died, and he believes it's because of the Ferretti medicines. Meanwhile, Ferretti, his wife, and son, since his daughter is staying behind, decide to attend a gala honoring him. And while they're at the gala, Michelle pops up and calls him murderer. And when all of this commotion is going on, Ferretti breaks the fourth wall and gives his henchmen the command to handle it, and they handle it by running over Michelle. But don't worry, Michelle makes it. Then meanwhile, at the work during Lucy's work shift, because the first two episodes they all happen within the same day. Josepha not only tells Lucy about the statue, but also tells her about Rogerio, Arminda's husband, who is presumed dead after a ship explosion, which I would not be surprised if Arminda was behind it. The statue pretty much piques Lucy's curiosity. Then meanwhile, Joelle visits Raul at their meetup spot and tells about the pregnancy, and Raul pretty much says he doesn't want to be a father due to him being damaged goods, which upsets Joelle. And when Lucy gets home from work, Joelle, who's all alone at the house since Ligia decides to go to Asara's wake, tells her mother she wants to have the baby by herself, and Lucy hopes that the baby is a girl, since it will pretty much hopefully break the family curse. Everybody was asking how Joelle even met this lazy scumbag. Raul used to frequent the favela for drugs, and he got noticed by Baghdad, the head drug lord played by Zama, who went on an all-out chase after him, and Joelle indirectly protected him when she ran into his house. And that's how she met Raul, who also recognized that Ligia as being his grandmother's caretaker. But I was wondering why Baghdad was after Raul's head. Raul owed drug money from him, which is why every time you see him, he wants the money back. Which I don't blame him. Then Lucy winds up coming across Paulino again, and Paulino winds up giving him his number, which she winds up throwing out. Though that would become important later on because of what happens later. Then the burial for Isara is held with the priest with a few people attending, and after everyone leaves, Misal, who everyone believes is dead, visits his grave and vows to pretty much avenge her for her death, which is justified. And after visiting the grave, he seeks out his friend Joaquim, played by Marcos Palmera, who's also the bio father of Lucy, though he doesn't claim responsibility. I'll discuss Joaquim later on, or by thoughts on Joaquim. Pretty much seeks him out for shelter, which he does pretty much allow him to stay with him. Then Freddy visits the factory where the medicines are made. And during his factory visit, he has a chat. He mentions Vivian, which he winds up Viviani, which he misgenders. Because for those wondering, Viviani, like her actress Gabriella Lauren, is trans. It is probably the factory where the counterfeit medicines are made or the real medicines are made. I'm not exactly sure, but it will be explained later on. Then Amanda, Ferretti's side piece, and Zenilda, his wife, they chat. They have a chat while Zenilda is visiting their house. Arminda bragging about her achievements and all that in front of Zenilda, pretty much to covertly downgrade her. Then Raul leaves to pretty much meet up with Joelle to talk more about the pregnancy, which Joelle at their favorite spot, Joelle le- which Viv catches Joelle leaving, contacting Jalusi. Unbeknownst to Raul, Baghdad's enforcers pretty much caught him dead at the raids and decided to pursue him and lured Baghdad. And during their meeting, they get surrounded by him, in which Baghdad makes a quip about Romeo and Juliet and how they ended in tragedy. Meanwhile, Jalusi, with the help of the doorman, contacts Paulino in regards to her daughter, and Paulino, and Josefa, they go on a police ride to pretty much find her whereabouts. With then speaking of Joelle and Raul, they're surrounded by Baghdad and his men until Kellen comes through and saves the day by whispering in Baghdad's ear about Joelle's father. And Joelle's father, for those wondering, is an ex-gang leader who Jalusi had a relationship with, which Jalusi has kept a secret from Joelle, which leads to Baghdad letting him go, but pursuing, he's still on Raul's tail, seeing as he has his enforcers follow Raul, where they find out that he lives in a mansion and he's a rich boy. Then Joelle goes home, not noticing that her grandmother is passed out, and pretty much reminisces about her relationship with Raul. Then Jerlusi, she pretty much gets the call saying that her daughter is safe, which leads to pretty much the car ride being useless and her thinking Paulino, who has become infatuated with her at this point. And she pretty much after talking with Vivian, runs home unknowingly, passing by her father, Joaquin, who goes back home to the scrapyard with Misal. And when Misal with their dinner, and when Misal asked him if he see anything today, he pretty much states no. When Raul gets back home, he has a argument with his mother over her referred to him as useless, which leads to her ripping his clothes and chastising him, and she pretty much goes to the statue room to cool off and have some me time with the statue. The episode ends with Lucy finding her mom unconscious, which Ligia, she pretty much pulls through, and what happened with Ligia causes her to have to pretty much convince her mom to get an exam. Be the deal breaker or big reveal of the counterfeit scam. At the mansion, Josefa has an episode of her claiming that she saw Rogerio, which frightens Arminda, and she chastises Claudia for not pretty much looking out for Josefa. Then Kellen does go to Ligia does go to the hospital with Kellen to get her exam, and that's pretty much how this storyline goes as of this week. The Jalusi, she takes the bus to work with the bus driver who's been flirting with her that she doesn't know was married. Then when the bus driver's wife comes in with the kids and pretty much attacks Jalusi, causing her to get an Uber ride. which I feel was disproportionate because of that Jalusi didn't even know she was married, and she got attacked just because over some BS. But she does get to her shift, and during her shift, while looking over Don't Use Josepha, Arminda treats her mother cruelly by ripping away her crochet thing, and throwing it on the floor with Jalusi helping Josepha, which was a sad scene to watch. I don't know what Josepha did or done for Arminda to treat her that way, but we're probably going to find out in the future. Or is Dona Amanda just a cold hearted woman to begin with? Then Vivi, Jalusi's friend, decides to visit the Ferretti Corporation where she meets Leo, the son of Ferretti, and they pretty much get stuck in an elevator to get together, which pretty much triggers Leo's anxiety, in which she helps away, which is a which is foreshadowing of them becoming a couple. While during her outing with John Josepha, Paulino in his police car passed by Jalusi and waves at her, which is shipping gold. And for those asking how this week's episode ends, it concludes with Baghdad, who got a tip from his henchman, pretty much pulling up and confronting Raul, which we won't find out what happened until the next episode. And now are my thoughts. My thoughts about Três Graças is that it's a good series. It has a very good start. Aguinaldo and Co did their thing with the script. My favorite character so far is Jerlisi, not because she's the main heroine, because of Sophie doing a good job with the acting, with the gestures and stuff. My least favorite character is Raul for obvious reasons, and I can't wait for, which is why I'm here for Baghdad pretty much putting that dude in his place. The one thing I admire regarding this novella is the attention to detail, like for example, the subtle commentary with the women at the hospital all pregnant without their baby fathers at their side, and pretty much how Zama's Baghdad pretty much dresses stylishly, which was reflective of actual drug dealers from the past. Bello's acting, I know there has been some talk regards to Bello's acting. Some say it was good, some say it was bad, but I feel Bello did an alright job acting. And then I also see some criticisms regards to Julie's character and the way she acts. Of course, she's going to act a certain way, or of course she's going to act unbearable. She's a teenager, and teenagers, they act like teenagers. But she does kind of get, but she probably will get on my nerves in the future with her secret keeping. But Joelle, that Alana Cabral did a good job as Joelle, and so does Diarra Pais as being the matriarch slash glue of the family. Can't wait to see what's in store for Ligia, Joelle, and Jerlusi in the future. And then in regards to Joaquin, I have a feeling that Joaquin has antisocial problems or is antisocial coded, seeing as that he lives by himself. He's attached to a scrapyard, and for some reason doesn't want anything to do with Jerlusi or his family, which sucks, but to him it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this recap. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And until then, goodbye.